When we're talking about declaring a major in the College of Education, it may sound, it's actually really simple but complicated. College of Education, students can only declare a major in the program with passing the test of academic proficiency. So that's the one thing. The only instance when there will be other students who actually will be able to actually declare majors in a different area were actually those who go into secondary education. I don't know if you remember from the last conversation that we had. That's basically what we have. The College of Education and the program in secondary is a double major. So students who will graduate with a degree in an area of concentration, what they're going to teach, they can go ahead and declare their majors officially way before they start even in the College of Education. For the training, the pedagogical training that they need in the license, then they have to get admitted to the College of Ed. And the requirements, just briefly, would be to have a zero batter in English 101, a zero batter in college level mathematics, a minimum 2.5 GPA, sophomore status as minimum, and the application to the College of Education. But the first and most important thing is to have passed successfully the test of academic proficiency or the ACT with the requirement that is necessary to make up for it.
What's the ACT requirement?
The ACT
in order to not have to
absolutely. The ACT is now a 22 with a writing composite in it. If a student's actually, a number of students transfer, and freshmen obviously, are fresh out of that, so they just have it. If they haven't met that, they can repeat it. They can retake that test. But that's the new state option that students have to replace the test of academic proficiency. Ways to compare, I mean, one of the things about that test is that it makes it a lot more attractive, the fact that it's less expensive. It's about $50 compared to what the test of academic proficiency altogether would raise about maybe it's $200. So that's one of the reasons when a number of students are actually choosing to go more into the ACT. It's something they feel a lot more confident, especially, like I said, those who actually have completed, or just like in their freshman or sophomore year, right after high school. So it still is really a good thing for them to have. But other students actually choose it because they, after taking the test of academic proficiency maybe twice or three times, they realize, maybe this is the time for me to actually take something else because I keep passing the writing portion per se. So those are the main things. Like I said, I mean, with the College of Education, that is what's necessary for students who actually they want to go into degrees that lead to a license with the state. They have to pass that test.
In terms of the College of Business, I know I handed these out last week showing the foundation courses and core courses that we require of our students that major in business, being accounting, finance, marketing, management, general business. For us, we keep it fairly simple. Essentially, in order to declare your major in the College of Business, you have to have your general education requirements completed. You have to have the 9 foundation courses completed. You have to have a GPA of 2.5 or higher in the foundation courses, and a 2.0 cumulative GPA being only the coursework that you did here at Northeastern, obviously. Once that's all complete, a student can come into our office and officially declare their major. They can come in at any time to declare a pre-major if they're interested in a business area.
So what does a student do? I want to officially be a major in marketing.
They come into our office. They can either make an appointment either by email or phone or walk in to make an appointment. They'll see an advisor. If they have never come into our office previously before, we go over what's called a first advising, where we go over all the policies of the College of Business as well as all of the requirements for graduation, showing what they need to do to reach the minimum 120 hours for graduation, including all of the coursework for the College of Business. Once that's done, generally students begin working on if they're not already, working on their foundation courses, completing any other general education requirements, and then they'll make an appointment, come in and say, I want to declare my major, I'm interested in accounting or finance, marketing or management or general business. They'll sit down with an advisor again. They can meet with the same advisor or any available advisor at the time of their appointment. At that time, we'll confirm that they've met all the requirements in terms of their general education, which we verify through Advisor Dashboard, which they'll talk about in a little bit. And then we also verify that they've completed all 9 of the foundation courses. And we make zero exception in terms of completing those foundation courses. Whenever they're taking any particular, especially the accounting courses, if they're already taking certain 300 level courses like Principles of Marketing or Principles of Management, anything like that, I always refer them, speak to your instructors, get a feel for what options are available to you. We also, when we provide these sheets to our students, we also have all the information for career services, as well as some government websites in terms of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, things that they can use to look at in terms of if they haven't fleshed out what their particular area or what they intend to do with their major after graduation, because that's definitely something that we always encourage our students to start looking at even before they've declared their majors, to start looking at what they can do with a particular degree after graduation. Because we don't.
In the College of Arts and Sciences, it's fairly simple. There really isn't a, you don't have a bunch of prerequisites before you can declare your major. You can pretty much declare your major. There are some departments that do require you to have certain courses before you can get into the courses they offer. For instance, biology requires some, you have to have reading, there's certain tests that you have to have done, placement tests or whatever. But mostly you can just go in to the office, send the student to the office.
The departmental office.
Departmental office, and have them ask to declare their major. And that person will walk them through, which is basically you fill out the form. The person behind the desk, or if it's the chair or whomever is behind there, will give them the form. They fill out the form with them, and they assign, sometimes immediately, an advisor. Sometimes the department staff will make an appointment with the chairperson, who, in some cases, the chairs like to meet directly with those students before they assign an advisor to find out what area. For instance, in psychology, they really are very specific about what type of psychology they're studying. Or in justice studies, there are certain advisors that they connect with certain students depending on, what their area of interest is. And that happens in a lot of the areas. But basically, it's a pretty simple process.
Okay, one thing we didn't think to bring here, and I'm just going to take 1 minute to talk about it. How many of you know about our non-traditional degree programs? Okay, that is something we do. That's another major, right? The major is either the Bachelor of Arts degree in Interdisciplinary Studies or the University Without Walls. And this is a program that really is focused on adult education. And someday we'll have them come in and talk about it because it's very complex. It's a big program here. It's not well, the two programs are together a very big program. But the base program, BAIS, is really, they take the adult with their learning experiences. They can have a portfolio evaluated by faculty in certain areas. You may be asked to evaluate somebody's portfolio. And then they are told to take courses to fill the 4 general areas, and that's all I know. The University Without Walls, however, is really a work-life experience thing. So they have to meet many, many different outcomes. They have to prove that they've met them already. They have a committee. How many of you have worked with a University Without Walls student? So they have a faculty advisor, an advisor from the non-traditional degree program, and a community or labor advisor. And we have that, it's really a work-life experience. It's part of our access and our mission to serve these students. Because faculty are involved, there's a faculty board that makes the rules and guides all the decisions. But we do create a lot of graduates in that program every single year. So if you hear about it or somebody says, can you look at this person's portfolio, please do. This is helping these very specific students to get through their programs as well.
If I can add a little bit to that. I never worked with the University Without Walls, but yes, with the non-traditional. And it is a great thing, especially for my students or for basically a number of students who actually have transfers or transfer students from multiple institutions. Mm-hmm. Those who already bring like 60, 70, 80 credit hours, mm-hmm. and they are not being admitted to the College of Education. We do recommend them mm-hmm. to do that because by completing that, Sometimes they can do it in a bit of a record time because, you know, since the program actually utilizes everything that the students bring, their workload, and there is, I think, the minimum they have to complete is about 30 semester hours without declaring either major nor minor in upper level classes, 300 level. Okay? So when the students complete that, which could be done maybe in a year or so, then the student can graduate from the program. When they graduate, that's when we do recommend them. Okay, now the teacher certification program will be a good idea for you. So that's an option for students to graduate a little bit sooner with a degree, and the subsequent year basically come back for their teacher certification program or in a master's program, depending on what areas they concentrate.
I also want to add, with that particular program, and again, I haven't worked with students in university without walls, but in terms of the non-traditional, the BAIS. And for us in the College of Business, what we do, or we're trying to do, is unfortunately, if they decided, well, I want to take some of these business courses, these 300 level courses, to use towards my BAIS, and I end up having to tell them that they have to do these 9 foundation courses, okay? The way around that, or the workaround around that, is rather than allowing those students to do this so that they could take that 1 or 2 300 level course, is to instruct them regarding what of these foundation courses will meet the what's called phase 1 courses in our MBA program, so that these courses will count towards their BAIS and will give them the foundation to start potentially looking at our master's programs rather than putting them into the process of trying to get all this done just to take 1 300 level course.
2 things. If the student is in the base program, they can also have a major in the College of Arts and Sciences. That's often the case. The other thing is if a student has stopped attending the university and hasn't been here for a year, not only do they have to be readmitted to the university, they also have to redeclare their major. So some people think they come back and they're declared major, but they have to redeclare.
Okay, so in the advisor dashboard, you can look up a transcript for a student, or you can look up their degree evaluation.
I mentioned too that that channel, the dashboard, you can put that up under any tab and all tabs. So when you sign up, you can have it everywhere you look if you want it. You can put it up as many times as you want.
Go to content layout, which is right here underneath the report logo. Oop.
Really?
I went to the wrong page. Okay. So you click on content layout. You select which tab you want it to be under. And then you select which column you want it in, and select a new channel on where you want it to show up. In the categories, you select all, and it will be in this list here.
If you have access to it, then you'll be able to get it. If you don't have access to it, it won't show up.
When you're in the advisor dashboard, you'll want to always select the latest term that's showing up on the screen. And we're going to print here.
Now this is if you're looking for a student ID.
The ID number always has to be 9 numbers long. And our students' ID numbers are 6 numbers long, so you'll have to put in 30.
Some of them are 5 if they're an older student, and then you have to put 4 zeros in.
Okay, so to look at a student's transcript, you'll click on this signal here, it's the transcript. And you will then click on display transcript, and it'll bring up the student's transcript. It will show, if the student has transfer work, it will show at the top of the transcript before the Northeastern courses. This student does not, so it starts with their institutional credit. To look at the degree evaluation, you'll click on the class standing, and it will bring up the student's majors. At the bottom of the screen, you're going to click on Generate New Evaluation. Then you are going to click next to the major that you're looking for that student.
And most of them will just have 1, generally. I mean, it's possible to have more than 1.
So for this student, we're looking at their history major. In the top here, it explains, well, after the student name, it shows what major they have, if they have any minors or concentrations, and also when their catalog term was, which is their first semester admitted to Northeastern.
Dan, could you speak a little louder?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Underneath that, in program evaluation, these are general requirements for a bachelor's degree program. You need 120 hours and at least 30 hours of institutional credit, and that your program GPA has to be at least 2.0. So,
I would be very careful up here when you're reading this, because the student will say, well, this will say that this is how many that are required 120, minimum requirement of 120. Cannot graduate with less than 120 hours. Over here, this will say used, but this will also indicate if the student is registered for any hours, it'll include the current enrollment. The student might not have passed them. They may have withdrawing, they might fail them. So you can't go by this necessarily. So I'd be very careful if you look at this.
yeah, if you're advising a student, you should definitely always use the transcript and the degree evaluation at the same time. So the next area that comes for undergraduate students is the general education area. Here, in the first section of it, it's the overall umbrella of it, is that they need 36 hours and 12 courses.
Undergrad.
Underneath that, it will say whether they've met each of the individual distribution areas. So after this, it goes into detail for each of the distribution areas.
What is the source of, what's H stand for?
H is for home. If it was, that they took that course here. If they took the course as a transfer course, there would be a T there. You'll see for registered courses, there will be no grade, but there will be an R there because they're in that course right now. It just has not been graded yet. So it goes through the natural science, the social behavioral science, the humanities, and the fine arts. And then it comes to the math requirement. For the math requirement, you need to meet one of these conditions. So this person met it with the first condition. These orders next to it in the condition area, they can meet it by taking a math course that is from Northeastern, that falls in between Math 103 and Math 499. Or they can meet it with a certain score on the math placement test. Or they can meet it with a 25 on the ACT test. Or they can meet it with a math placement test with a certain score on the math. If they had to have met two of these conditions, it would say that they had to meet, for instance, math in between 103 and 499 and a certain score in the math placement test instead of saying or.
So you're going to see a bunch of no's, but you just really go with.
Yeah, all you need is one yes.
Okay.
After the math requirement comes the English 101 requirement, and again, there's several ways to meet that requirement as well. And after that comes the human relations requirement. They can meet that either through a course or a test score, which is for older students that met the human relations requirement. After those general requirements, begins the major requirements. It starts with the writing intensive course for the major. And then moves on to the actual major courses that are required. Above the major courses, it will show that for a history major, they need 36 hours, and they need, their GPA has to be at least 2.0. So then it just lists out the courses, how they're needed for each of the majors. After the major requirements come the upper division requirements, which you need 24 hours at the 300 level, and then an additional 18 hours at 200 level or above.
That's another absolute, you can't, you have to have those requirements.
You're going to see in the upper division area, there's also the English competency exam requirement, which went away a couple years ago. That still needs to be there for older students, but for the most part, this is always going to stay in place.
Some of those 5-digit students might have that.
To do a what-if analysis, you would go about it the same way that you go to do a regular degree evaluation. But instead of clicking generate new evaluation, you click what-if analysis. And again, you'll take the latest term that's up here. And you have to pick a program, say you want to see if someone is switching to biology. So you'll take arts and sciences, bachelor science program. And then you will find the major that you're looking for. So you want to see if this person has biology courses, or what they would still need if they switch to biology. Then you submit. And then you generate results. And it's going to look exactly like any other degree evaluation. It's just that it will have the requirements for biology instead of history like the student had. The what-if analysis always takes longer to show up than the regular degree evaluation.
Okay, I just wanted to, well, first of all, if anybody's, I generally do this for the College of Arts and Sciences, but anybody's welcome to join us. I generally do some just banner training. Hopefully, if I can get the class, the LWH 466 classroom, then I run through this whole thing a little more in depth. So if you're going to be advising, I'm happy to have you join my groups when I have them, and you can just contact me in the Dean's Office, College of Arts and Sciences. The other thing is just a few things from the enrollment services area that you might want to know as faculty members. You all know FERPA regulations. We're handing that out, so you all should know that, because in a nutshell, if you're not sure who the student is, or that you're talking to the student, you don't give out information, you don't talk to mommies, you don't give information like that. It's very important. We have a lot of mommies who call in, or daddies, and say, I'm paying for this education, and you really can't give that information out. And we've handed out the FERPA information, so now you have that if you haven't had it before. The roster verification process, that is very important. We've just gone through that, and we've had some that never showed up online. It's an online process. It's really easy, and I've given you the screenshots as to how to do it, so you probably all have done it and had no problems. But just remember, that's going to be every semester.
Yeah, the importance is we will be disqualified as providers of federal financial aid if we don't report this stuff back of our students.
80% of our students get
Are on financial aid,
so-
and we came, because we weren't doing this, very close to not being allowed to give
We got
financial
dinged.
aid.
Yeah,
So
it was
so
dangerous.
please help us with that.
Yeah. Please don't let students sit in your class if they're not registered for your class. And if they're supposed to be there, help them get registered. Call the dean's office, whoever, and we're happy to help. The incomplete policy, if you're tempted to give a student an incomplete for whatever reason, make sure that that you kind of follow the guidelines for that, which is that it should be like they're missing the final, or it's the end, or maybe there's an extreme medical circumstance, but it's near the end of what they needed to finish. If you're not going to be here for whatever reason the next semester, it's very dangerous to give an incomplete, because you have to be available. For the next 2 semesters, you have to be available to finish that incomplete with that student, because they only have 2 semesters to finish the incomplete, and that's including the summer semester. And that has to be done. If somebody's interested in doing an independent or tutored study, there are reasons to do that. Check with your chair, because your chair will be able to guide you through that process. And you certainly, there's certainly that option, especially for seniors who want to do a little in-depth study in their area. There's also, generally on the college websites, there is a place for faculty resources. I suggest you find that. It's a good thing. If you have any questions, it might be answered in that faculty resource area. I know there's one in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm sure there's.
Academic
probably
Affairs
that
has the
area.
overall one, and
Yes, that's wonderful.
it's a faculty handbook for all the policies and